Good morning. Welcome to Beyond the SEAF Model. I'm Jack Kosar. This is effective for the week of July 6th, 2026. Let's get started. SEAF signals for this week. We got financials coming in that top spot, followed by healthcare, and we retain industrials. As you can see here, industrials is starting to tail off here. Not tail off, but starting to weaken a little bit on the tactical month and the trading week, being held up here by that strategic quarter. Strong. We're seeing strength up top here. Financials 1 on the trading week, 2 on the tactical month, 6 on the strategic quarter. That's that positive skew I like to see, and not to be undone. But healthcare coming in 2 on the trading week, 1 on the tactical month, with a little bit of a larger strategic quarter. So these are good SEAF rankings, obviously, but nothing with a true leader like we've seen in the past where you got a 3 or a 4 sitting up here in that top ranking. Coming down here at the bottom, energy still continuing to fall with 10 on the trading week, and seeing some weakness in technology. Technology showing 11s for both the trading week and the tactical month, being held up a little bit into that neutral by its strategic quarter, which still had some accumulation from the last big tech run. Just overall showing a little bit more on the defensive side of things here with healthcare and industrials. We're going to highlight a little bit later with our let's just get there right now. Sector Spider total AUM, we're right on that line. So what I'm trying to highlight here is while we're showing risk on in terms of how you read this chart, which is, when you're trading above that 21-day moving average, when the AUM of the 11 sector spiders is above it, you tend to have positive things happening in the S&P 500. When it's below is when you tend to see that either sideways or down movement. Right now, we're negotiating it. We've, over the last, month and a half, we have kind of jumped in and out of above that and below that 21-day moving average, highlighting a little bit of indecision in the broader market. Again, this is one chart. This isn't a tell-all, but just trying to read what I see here and what coincides with what we're seeing as kind of a sideways market. We're get these little pockets of up, little pockets of down, but overall trading in this box going back since we crossed down below that 21-day moving average on that first time at the early part of June. So, right now, this chart tells us we're leaning positive because we're above that 21-day moving average. Our SEAF model says a little bit on the opposite, leaning a little bit on the negative side or, defensive side with healthcare and industrials, but overall kind of still in that inflection decision point as per reading into these tables and charts for more of a broad market situation. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. Heading into our heat map, really showing some strength here in the financials and healthcare, 0.56 and 0.52 for that 1 and 2 mark on the trading week. That's significant, starting to pick up some accumulation in the tactical month strategic quarter. You can see that by that dark green highlighted here. Technology money continues to flow out of technology, negative 1.25% on the trading week, starting to pick up accumulation on the tactical month. So much money had flown into the technology space that even with some of these outflows coming out of the month in the trading week, still showing strength on that strategic quarter. Again, though, we had some insane amount of flows. So as those flows start to kind of fall off the back end, we'll see technology drop off a little bit because we are seeing significant outflows as well. Highlight here, I didn't even pull the rainbow chart in because it wasn't relevant, but communication services showing a little bit of life on the trading week, 0.29%. This has been after it's been overall down for a little bit now. Nothing has happened yet there, even on the relative performance, other than potentially forming a little bit of a bottom, but that's to be determined. Likely if this trend continues, this positive skew continues next week, likely to see communication services at least in a place to watch, if this trend continues. But as of right now, nothing happening there. Middling here, a lot of near zeros, but the big story here is healthcare and financials. We'll take a look at those in just a second. technology. Yeah, I wanted to highlight technology first here. 11 on the trading week and the tactical month. Technically not the worst sector in the group. That would be energy, but technology kind of starting to see that outflow. We had that upper favored. We had that nice run up in that relative outperformance. That's where all that accumulation happened that I was mentioning earlier. Starting to fall off here. We're sitting in that neutral area. And this is the relative performance chart. Again, a little bit sideways to down. Overall, a lot of news and a lot of stories about what AI is and AI isn't. And I think, when so much money runs in, valuations are quite high for some of these tech companies. We're amidst, a continued AI boom. Every little story creates a little bit of a wiggle. So, it's kind of a volatile place to be right now. As you can see, we spike up, spike down, spike back up, spike back down. There's a narrative war going on. Obviously those of us in, not including myself, but those of us that are voting for the AI boom to continue and how it's going to revolutionize the world, thinks that there's, plenty of upside. And then, there's the doomers of the AI as well, that have, that this is overinflated and, we're amidst a bubble of a 99 type proportion. What the cool thing about the SEAF model is we're not here to predict either of those, because a lot of those opinions are just that, opinions. We're here to read the data. Right now, technology has outflows coming out of it. We're just going to follow the numbers and continue to do that instead of speculating on, is this a bubble? Is this not a bubble? So as of right now, money flowing out of technology, again, being held up into this neutral area due to flows coming from the strategic quarter here, but overall showing negative skew here with 11s on the technical month of trading week as money flows out of technology as of right now. Industrials continues to look positive. Had a nice run up as we came in from a void through neutral into favored. Have picked up some of this nice relative outperformance versus SPY. Seem to be coming up against a little bit of a resistance level on the relative performance side of the chart. A little bit of a sideways wiggle, but we are still up in that mid to upper favored area. Industrials continues to show some strength while taking a bit of a breather as we're not seeing the flows as strong as they were just a couple of weeks ago. But industrial is still a good place to be as we are trending in the right direction on that relative performance versus SPY. Financials is starting to look strong. Like I said, 0.56 on the trading week. That was that's significant. When I original testing of this did, any kind of a significant number was over 0.4%. So for the weekly trades, so this definitely showing some significance. Nice, as we've been sitting around that neutral to lower favored for the last week or two, was able to kind of jump up and kind of spike out of that a little bit. As you can see here, it's coincided with a little bit of relative outperformance. We are coming up with some upward resistance on the relative performance chart side of things, but as of right now, flows are throwing really strong, and we've seemed to have bounced off this bottom here for what was really a long downtrend in financials. You can see here we attempted several peaks here only to be kind of rejected. So as of right now, flows looking strong into financials. We'll see if they continue. We could kind of break through this resistance point and kind of head up on that positive side of things. But right now, financials looking like a good place to be. Currently the top ranked SEAF signal or SEAF pick for this week. Healthcare looks strong as well. We had that nice run up in the fourth quarter of last year, which picked up some nice relative performance, went a little bit sideways here. And then as the market ripped, healthcare kind of took that inverse. It tends to be a little bit more on the defensive side of things. So when technology is ripping, oftentimes, not guaranteed times, but oftentimes we see a underperformance in healthcare. Seem to have found our bottom here and have kind of come off of it nicely. Healthcare 0.52 on the trading week. So another significant cash flow coming in to one of the 11 sector spiders. Nice positive trend in relative outperformance coming in since really beginning of June. So things are looking good for healthcare. Like to see this thing kind of jettison up in the upper favored here and really kind of start to take off. But some good relative outperformance from healthcare, especially good when we don't know exactly how this is going to resolve itself in terms of the assets under SPY. buy. Again, we're hovering around on both sides of that 21-day moving average. That screams inflection point for the broader market. And again, healthcare has a tendency to be defensive when the market is going down. So good space to be in right now when the market's trying to make that decision. And overall, on a relative performance side, relatively strong going back since the beginning of June. That is all I have for this week. I look forward to breaking down the SEAF model with you all next week. And thank you.